Welcome everyone to Banana Bread Trades, and today we're going to have another video on how to identify the end of a trend and know basically when to take profit and or enter a new trade. Now, today was a fantastic example of a super hard downtrend, as we saw ES or the S&P 500 futures sold off very violently all morning long. I mean, we had 2 hours of straight selling, not a single green 5-minute candle. And there were a few things that popped up near the end of this trade that made it very apparent that there was a lot of buying and or profit taking place, which was a great indicator for anyone that was short to exit that short. And if you wanted to enter a long position, if this was in a zone that you would want to long, that it was an opportunity to take that long. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to break down the things that we noticed and how exactly you would go about exiting or entering those positions. So as we said, there were 3 things that we really looked at to identify the end of the trend, and they're going to be what you see on your screen here. On the left, we have delta by price, and that's showing the difference of buyers and sellers at each individual price. Then on the right, we have volume profile, and that's just showing the amount of trades that are taking place at each individual price. And then on the bottom, in the yellow, we have volume, and in the red and green at the bottom here, we have delta by candle. And we're going to be watching all 3 of these things to identify the end of this trend. Now, as you all know, I love initial balance, and I want to take that initial balance play. But what we don't see here is any reason to get long at initial balance, and I did not get long, right? We sold off all morning long, nothing but red candles. That's already a bad sign. So if I'm going to get long at initial balance, I need to see some real buying take place. And as you can see by delta by candle at the bottom here, it's just heavy selling. There's really no sign of buyers showing up. Right here, we have a few buyers showing up, but price is still just tanking, which shows us that there's a lot of passive sellers in this situation as well. So really just no reason to get long. And you look on the right of volume profile, if I'm going to get long, I want to see a lot of volume taking place, a lot of trades taking place at a specific price to show that there's a lot of interest. And right now there is not. If you look at the bottom now, watch delta by candle, and you're going to start noticing a large amount of selling taking place. You'll also look on the left of delta by price. You're going to see some big delta numbers show up right there. We saw the POC flip low on delta, and we're seeing these big sells take place. Now, what I want to see is these big sells take place and no selling actually happening, meaning we don't see price tank any further below. So now that delta's flipped down here low, our attention is kind of brought here. It's like, okay, there's some big orders going on down here. Now delta is at negative 8K, right? And that is a massive number. Seeing negative 3K is a lot. So we see negative 8K. We see price kind of getting absorbed here, right? We have an extreme amount of selling and price is not going anywhere. We look on the left, we see that big delta number still chilling there. There's a lot of buying and selling going on down here, right? And there's a big chunk of selling happening with price not moving. So our attention's brought, that has been brought to our attention. We're watching now. But this isn't necessarily a situation where we're going to go ahead and long. Now, if you are short and you see that type of absorption, then maybe you want to trim your position, but it's not really damning yet. So we still have to wait. And what we're waiting for is, look on the right on volume profile. Like I said earlier, we want to see a lot of volume accumulate down here. And we want to see the POC, the daily POC, flip to the low side. And when I say daily POC, this volume profile is just showing the regular trading hour session. Now you can show both, but if the trend was specifically only in the regular trading hour session, then normally you would only want to map the regular trading hour session. So here we're still waiting. We're starting to see some volume really move down here, right? We're building volume, especially right there at that 415 level. But we're not going to be interested in longing until we flip that POC. Now, if you are short and you see this kind of volume building and you see all this delta down here, like I said before, you're definitely going to want to trim your position, but you might want to hold a runner just to see if we do break this level, that, you know, you might be able to get a whole nother leg down. But at that point, I mean, just depending on how long you're swinging your short, that's kind of up to you. I personally probably wouldn't, seeing the kind of absorption that happened there. I would probably go ahead and trim my position. But if you're brave, go ahead and swing it. And that's not financial advice. You do what you want to do. I'm just an idiot on the internet. So we're still building volume down here. And we're still building volume. The delta's flipped even lower now, right? We're all the way at the bottom now. That's some huge absorption taking place. But volume hasn't flipped lower yet. It's still pretty thin all overall. So we're assuming the trend still continues. We have no real strength to long yet. Now there we break the lows, right? We make a new low a day, really heavy selling, negative 3K, and it's getting bought up again. Now at this point, when we get bought up again like that and that such high selling, I mean, at that point, I'm definitely not holding any more shorts, right? That's two really big absorption events at the same level. And now we're probably going to see the first green candle of the first 2 hours of the trading day, right? This is a massive win for bulls, right? This is the first candle they were able to flip green. For me, just because there's one green candle amidst this massive downtrend doesn't mean I'm going to long. I still don't see POC flip low. Now, I'm definitely not short anymore, right? Because we've had two massive absorption events. We've seen all these wicks and attempts to the downside, again, getting absorbed. And we only have two green candles now. Now we're probably getting a third green candle, but no volume profile POC has flipped to the lows yet. So, like I said, I'm definitely not thinking about getting long, because those swing longs don't usually happen until the POC flips to the low side. So we're still just waiting. No longs yet. We're below initial balance. As you know, I don't like longing once we're below initial balance like this, right? Now the POC has flipped low, right? But now we need to see buyers actually defend this level, because if we break, we could just be continuing the trend to the downside, right? And here you see buyers defend the lows, right? They're buying against it. Now, if we can possibly get a green candle to post, then maybe we get long. But for sure, shorts out the window. Now, still no green candle, but definitely some buyers taking place, right? We saw this barely any delta show up right here. Sorry. Our thing popped up there. But barely any delta right there, which means there's a good fight going on. And now, yeah, still no green candle. So we wait for one of those to post, which I think it is this candle or it's the next one. There we finally get a green candle to post, which means buyers are starting to take initiative right here, right? We've definitely put a lot of volume down in here. So if you want to long, you need to figure out a way to long that meets your risk reward expectations, with an upper target being initial balance flow, right? I mean, that is a clear target. That was a breakdown point prior. If you see this wick here and you watched that little bit of absorption happen, that was definitely a breakdown point and a spot where we would expect to maybe retest, right? If I am going to short again, I'm probably going to short that initial balance situation depending on if we get the delta flip. So it would be a good long target if that is, you know, if you were wanting to long down in this situation. Again, me personally, I'm not going to long a downtrend day like this, but it was very clear when we had that delta flip to the low, the massive two absorption events, and now the POC flipping to the low side, and we put in a massive amount of volume down here, that the trend itself was over as long as they could defend that area. So you can take a long expecting that area to hold, or take a long with the idea that the area would hold. And if we lost that volume area there to the low side, then we would know that it's a failure and the downtrend would continue. Now here you're approaching initial balance low, and like I said, if you wanted to short, you would watch for a delta flip, which does not happen, right? We just getting straight green delta candles, no reason to long. So at this point, I mean, the trading day for me is basically over because we sold off. I have no initial balance plays at this point, right? We busted right through initial balance, went past the amount that I would normally want to play. So to me, that's gross. And yeah, the rest of the day is pretty much just choppy grossness. But that is how I would have played today and how I did play today. I did not take any trades, right? I just watched. And hopefully now you guys know how to play this day. But yeah, 2 large absorption events, as we saw, by delta by price and delta by candle. We were able to see the absorption taking place. And then we saw the volume flip to the low side, which indicated buyers and sellers exchanging a lot of contracts, meaning there was a lot of interest in that zone from someone either exiting or entering contracts. And we're going to use that absorption to give us the idea that the next move will be to the upside. And your upside targets, those are going to be up to you. Like I said, I like to target initial balance, but I don't really like taking those big downtrend trades up to initial balance low. Once we break initial balance, I don't like trading back to it. I like to trade the continuation of the trend. However, when we got to initial balance low, we did not meet any of the conditions to try to continue the trend. We just had way too much buying in delta by candle. So yeah, there's just no trades for me today, but that was a fantastic example of absorption and how to identify the end of a massive downtrend like that one. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. I know it was kind of long and I know I kind of rambled there for a bit, but these are some of the really clear things I see to help keep me safe in the market and how to kind of avoid getting chopped up in a trend. So again, thank you all very much for watching. Any more questions, feel free to hop in the Discord. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.